Hello, this is Kraig Smyth, MyBizGuide, the business of being human, and another episode of Disengage from Linear Mindset. This might be one of my favorites because, of course, contemporary society is saying Happy New Year. But it's not a new moon, it's not solstice. So where does this come from? You see, if you haven't noticed, there's a huge disconnect between contemporary society and nature. Yeah, the contemporary calendar is one of them. The monetary system's another one. The governmental system's another one. The clock is another one. Now, see what I'm saying? Is the new year, is it solstice? Or is it at the end of the 13th moon here? Because technically, we're still, let's see here, new moon's on the 13th. Yeah, so we're still 13 days before the next new moon. Full moon, coincidentally, was just the other day. Solstice was back, around the 23rd or something like that? I can't remember now. Solstice was not too long ago. How big of an impact mentally, right? Because this is all a mental problem that contemporary society has, this disconnect from nature, when we have to explain that printed currency is not more valuable than food, water, air, shelter, mental, physical, emotional, spiritual well-being. That's a mental issue. So perpetuating this calendar the way it is, why do we not go by moon phases? Why do we not go by moon phases? Why don't we go, this is the whatever, this is the sixth moon, we're 5 days into the sixth moon. So 6-5, right? 626, 627. Next moon. Why not do that? Why not do something to align with the planet that we are actually in? We've got a pseudo ecosystem made from printed currency, so that's a disconnect. We've got a pseudo legal system made from paper law, so that's a disconnect. We've got a clock that just goes around at a steady pace, which nothing else does, so that's a disconnect. And we've got the calendar that December 31st, why? Okay, so those are the challenges. Now you know it, we acknowledge it, so what are we going to do? You can start by not giving in just so readily. Everyone's all, oh yeah, change, get back to nature, and then Happy New Year. That's your fault. I ain't saying Happy New Year to anyone now. I'm saying the opposite. I'm saying it's not New Year. Don't buy into that. It's such an easy thing to just not. Just say no. Just say no. If there's other events that you don't agree with, just say no. Say something else. When you fall in line, you're complicit. And this is such an easy thing. This is such an easy thing to just say no. Solstice, let's have the discussion. If we want to call something a new year, is it at the end of the moon or at solstice? When the days start to get lighter again, or at the end of the last moon? Which one is it? Let's have that conversation. And I don't want to say I want to see that change before I die. I want to see it change now. I want to see people start having real conversations and start disengage from linear mindset. Just don't drink the freaking Kool-Aid, you know? Understand that you're using printed currency for exchange. Understand that if someone says, oh, you need to be there on the 6th, they're not talking about the 6th part of this next moon. Sure, fine, but you don't need to buy into it wholeheartedly. You don't need to just disregard real understanding. There's laws, there's clocks, there's printed currency. The only way those things will change is if we understand, we actually understand, not just say, oh yeah, that makes sense, and keep on going with the day-to-day business and keep on being complicit into it. That's not understanding. That is not embracing the information. To cognitively be aware that this written law is not attached to natural law. To cognitively be aware that this printed currency does not reflect value in its true sense. Cognitively be aware that this clock does not represent whatever time might be. We all have lives here, and we don't know when they're gonna transition. Life is what we're supposed to be attached to, not all these delusions. You know, all these things, the clocks, the calendar, the government, paper government, I mean, well, I'm not going to digress that far. Paper law, paper money, those are all things built because people were not connected to nature. People are trying to get out of natural law, so they made their own law. Where's my whiteboard? I was going to bring my whiteboard for this, right? So check it out. Here's the Earth. Okay, let's do some creative work here. Here's the Earth. Say here's the Earth, right? And here's us. Everything's in the Earth, but yet contemporary society is trying to build an ecosystem outside of the Earth. The monetary system's not a real ecosystem. Paper law is not a real ecosystem. The clock's not a real ecosystem. The calendar is not a real ecosystem, but that's what people focus on. And this is what I'm saying about our mental problem. How damaging is that to a species? That's what I'm saying. From a developmental aspect, how damaging is it to a species to not be focused on what's around them, is focused on a delusion in their head? It is a mental problem. And anyone that knows anything about science will talk about this. You can't just take a species and throw some arbitrary shit in there and expect it to do good. So do us all a favor, do the world a favor, do the planet a favor, disengage from linear mindset. Quit saying Happy New Year. Do you really have to? No, you don't. Say, hey, I think that the new year should be solstice, or hey, I think the new year should be the end of the last moon. Something. Do something. Do something. Do something. You have to do something. You can't just say, oh, well, okay, that made sense then, and okay, I accept it. That's not connecting. You're not connecting. You got to connect. You got to disengage, not just play along. You can't keep playing along, or things are gonna keep going south. No offense meant to that direction. Contemporary society, faux pas. You know, there's nothing wrong with south. It's the whole. See, I caught myself in one, but our society is riddled with things like that. So, yes, disconnect from nature. Disconnects us from one another. Absolutely. It's all connected. It's all connected. Right? How we talk, I can't say that without that, you know. All right. So That's my disengage from linear mindset for the day. It is not the new year. This is Kraig Smyth, MyBizGuide, the business of being human. And let's get it together, people. Let's get it together. Have a good day, whatever day it is.